Hi, everybody. You're probably not expecting to
Hi.
see us. Yeah, you're not expecting to see us right now. But we had to hop on a Zoom call real quick because some gigantic news just broke. Sinatraa retired, and he's officially going over to become a pro at Valorant, and he's playing for the Sentinels Valorant team, and he's like the big get for them. Yesterday in the podcast that was just released like 30 minutes ago, we talked about Sinatraa uh, probably going to Valorant. Uh, but now it's official, so we're doing like a quick emergency podcast just to talk about the move. We're both huge San Francisco Shock fans, so we would like to just give our perspective on Sinatraa, a player that we've been following for a long time. Give our perspective on him as well. Before we get into it, I'd just like to kind of point you guys to Sinatra's Twitter. He did like a twit longer, which at this point it's like a meme for every Overwatch player that goes to Valiant to do like a dramatic twit longer. But he did one, and basically he said that just his motivation for the game was killed. 222 came in, and he just lost motivation to sit through long queues and play scrims and ranked, and his love for the game just faded away. And NRG was like, hey, we understand, and he ended up leaving, and now he is a basically officially professional from Valorant. So it's huge news, and I just figured we'd get on a call and just kind of talk about it.
Something that, as we said, we talked about going out of recording the episode, and I think we both kind of agreed that it didn't really hit us too hard that if Sinatraa left, because we understood that this was something that was going to happen in the first place. And because of that, the news coming out today, I was just kind of like, oh, well, that's good, because he only ever got to play on the San Francisco Shock. No, he never got traded to anybody else. And I can understand where him coming in and saying that like the 222 lock, the long queues and all that kind of stuff killed his like passion for the game. Because if I was somebody who played strictly DPS, I can also understand why sitting in like a 10+ minute wait for a competitive game is going to be a pain in the ass. And so knowing that he's moving on and like that he at least was part of the Shock family, and we never had him watch him leave and become part of the like the Washington Justice family or the Atlanta family, we got a good experience of just having him be our star and our MVP. Like he is the Bay Area's MVP for Overwatch League.
Yeah,
And he was only ever the Bay Area's MVP for Overwatch League, which I think is incredibly lucky for us that we got to have that experience before he jumped to another team or perhaps a game.
yeah,
So I'm not feeling hurt when he left.
it's sad to see him go. Just because we're obvious, like we mention him like on every podcast. Like we're big fans of the Shock, and obviously we're big fans of Sinatraa because he was the face of the Shock. Um, and but like I'm totally fine with him leaving. Like it's one of those things where I don't feel like, oh no, he's gone. Like I feel empty now. Like I enjoy seeing players like move on and do other things. And like I have zero interest to watch Valorant competitively. Like I'm not going to follow Valorant. But when Sinatraa plays his first big game, I'm going to watch. If he makes,
Oh yeah.
the finals of a tournament, I'm going to check it out just because I'm a fan of Sinatraa. And I think that's one of the things that's I feel like being overlooked about all this, and obviously Overwatch is going through a very rough patch of weeks with, contenders teams dropping and, you know, all these pro players leaving for Valorant, from the tier 2 scene, and, the off season is probably going to see a lot of our fan favorites maybe try out Valorant, but he's still within the esports bubble. Like it's not like Sinatraa retired and he's going to be gone or he went somewhere else. Like when Sinatraa has a big game, he's still going to be around. He's still going to stream if you want to watch him. And it's one of those things where, like, I'm cool with him leaving, and I totally understand. And I also am just by default in favor of players doing what they want to do and
Mm-hmm.
not owing an organization something, or if they're not passionate, not owing somebody something. Because players should be empowered to move where they want. And if NRG let
Yeah,
him out of his contract or bought him out or something, and we're like, hey, fine, go. Like, you're clearly not into this. We would rather you be gone and go enjoy yourself than sit around and just be unhappy, then cool. Like, that's great, you know? I would
it
rather him
does.
go be happy. Yeah.
It does show that, like, because we've ragged on so many of the other organizations in like Overwatch League, it does show something that like Energy is like very supportive. And I mean, they make an effort to go out of their way when like clearly the Cow Palace fell through or something to go to the literal school that they support fully behind. And that's like, and have their homestand would have been at Cal. And that's something where it shows a lot about this organization. It's like, it's not like Boston or perhaps Florida when we talk about these kind of teams, and currently the Vancouver Titans, because something is not going well inside that organization.
Yeah.
Or we're not going to talk about Texas, but you know Texas.
Yeah.
And then it's just things where it's like you can do where like the organization is trying their hardest, which we saw with like Texas, and now like Florida and Boston's trying, but it's a struggle.
I think the
But it's
biggest,
like
or I would say, you know, just kind of on like the organizational tip is, I feel like it's just important to remember that if the San Francisco Shock felt like it was a good move to cut Sinatraa, they would cut him. So if he's not feeling passionate and he feels like, damn, I want to go play something else, he should do that, because I guarantee you the organization is going to cut you if it's important. We just saw Team Envy just get released from their contenders roster, probably out of nowhere. I'm sure they were calling like, hey, it's gone. And that's just something where it's like the organization is going to do what's best for them. So as a player, you should be trying to do what's best for you. Like, go get the bag. If they're offering you stupid money to go play Valorant, like, do it. If you're going to be happy doing it, do it. And it isn't, you know, it is something where Monte Cristo brought up this fact, and a lot of people have brought up this fact that, you know, the first couple years of an esport, you're not getting your best players. You know, first couple years of Overwatch, we had a bunch of Team Fortress 2 players that were, you know, former Counter-Strike dudes that, and, you know, the like, that were very good at the game, and then they're overtaken by people that started only playing Overwatch, that were like young prodigy type dudes. And the same is going to be with Valorant. There's going to be all these CSGO dudes and Overwatch dudes and Rainbow Six dudes that are going to try out the game and get that bag in the first couple years, because, you know, by year 5 of Valorant, there's going to be some like cracked out Russian that's been playing Valorant nonstop as his first game ever or something, and he understands every centimeter of the map, and you're just not going to be able to compete against that. So get your bag right now. Like, if you're not happy in CSGO, you're not happy in Overwatch or whatever game you're playing, like, yo, go to Valorant, let some team pay you hella money, and just do it, man. Like, it's a good opportunity.
Yeah. And especially if you're like the first wave of players and, you know, you came from a different game and then you slowly get worked out, that's better. And then you have a lot of different esports to go back to and be like, hey, would you mind having me back as like maybe a caster or a desk? Like, you know, Jake left and he's now a caster. So if Sinatraa goes through Valorant and then in a couple of years he's like, man, all these new kids playing are way better than I am, which I don't think could technically happen just because Sinatraa seems to have the Midas touch and can play any video game as an expert. So even if it does come down to, you know, him leaving, he could always come back to like the Overwatch League and be like, hey, do you guys need a new desk guy? Do you guys need a coach? He could always come back and do something like that, because he's still, and
nobody's going to say no about
excellent. No one will say no. Like, if Krusty left the San Francisco Shock and was like, I want Sinatraa to replace me, what are they going to do? Say no?
Yeah.
Like,
and also I think it's important, you know, I guess first thing is like, at least why we like Sinatraa so much is like, me and Taylor spent our 6-year anniversary at a damn bar in San Francisco watching Sinatra's debut. Like, we watched this dude debut. We spent time on a day where we could probably have been doing anything to like watch this, you know, dude that just turned 18 debut to play video games. And
we were told that we were a very cute couple by IDDQD or however his name is. Like, you know, and he said we should last.
Yeah, like, it was a good day.
It was an experience.
And so, you know, like, we've been following Sinatraa from like this random like Tracer dude who we just knew was 17 and was on the Shock, so we were like, hey, cool, he's going to debut, to being the league MVP, winner of the World Cup, and a world champion. And he led the team to World Championship. So obviously, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, like, we're sad to see Sinatraa go. And, you know, you look at the Shock's Wave page, the official fan page, and they're all sad to see Sinatraa go. But at the end of the day, everybody's like, well, you're still part of the Shock. Like, once a Shock, always a Shock kind of thing. And so it's nice to see a lot of support. But I also do think it's very important to not, after all of this, as your big takeaway about Sinatraa is like, well, you know, I see a lot of dumbass comments on Reddit or something where they're like, well, I mean, he was benched when 222 came in, and he was benched this season, so, like, he was never really that good anyway. I feel like it's important to not Russell Westbrook what he's doing, where, like, everybody tries to downplay what Russell Westbrook does. Not to downplay.
I mean, that's what they did with Carpe, and now look where Carpe is standing.
Don't downplay how ridiculous of a year Sinatraa had, winning the World Cup, leading his team to win the World Cup next to Corey, winning an entire Overwatch League championship where he was the lead player, becoming the best Zarya in the league when everybody was making fun of him for not being worth his contract. He became a top-tier player. He became the MVP after a season where everybody thought he was just a middle-of-the-road player. I feel like it's important not to forget how dominant he was when he was on Zarya and when he was in Season 2. And you could say, oh, GOATs, whatever, but you play you play what's there. You play the game that's brought to you. And he became the best person at that game.
It just dawned on me that, like, we know what the San Francisco Shock skin looks like, and they all were revealed it, but Sinatraa still doesn't know what his MVP Zarya skin looks like, and he's left the league, and that's really funny to me.
Apparently, because, like, his dumbass, like, leaked something, and so, like, Blizzard was like, nah, homie, we're not telling you anything else. Like, you're gonna tell
he accidentally leaked that it was a Doomfist skin
I think it's
for
Zarya.
The Shock.
It's one of those. He leaked something.
No. When he did the Shock skin, like the Shock skin came out for Doomfist, he was like, I'm so glad that we're getting this skin for Doomfist and also Zarya. That's what's up. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? He was like, yeah, they're not going to show me it anymore. Sorry, guys. I don't know what it is. But it's very funny because it's just such like a kid thing to do. Just be like, oh yeah, that's my skin. It's Zarya, obviously. Like, I knew that. Yeah. But then him being like, shout out to Blizzard for making the Shock skin be Doomfist. Yeah. That was the leak.
They should still for sure release the skin though, because I've been saying this. It's like, you don't suddenly just stop, like, honoring the history of your players just because they leave or retire. Like, just because Sinatra's gone doesn't mean he, like, didn't win MVP. So still release the skin. Yeah. You can still be like, this is in honor of our league MVP who retired this year. Like, it's not like you can't. Yeah, it's not like you have to just forget Sinatraa existed because he left to play Valorant. You know,
if they got rid of, like, the Zarya skin that's like supposed to come out, and then it's like, you know, there's a few other things that come out, like the sprays that we're supposed to get in like an email for, like, the homestand games, and then, like, those kind of things that are eventually slowly coming in, but that's because we're stuck in only so many people can run these things going through it. And so when it gets to us, it gets to us. But, like, if they were to be like, oh, this person left the game, why should we give them a skin? It's kind of ridiculous because it's like, okay, and you gave us Jonak skin in the off season during All-Stars. Yeah. So he wasn't playing. He wasn't even playing. Yeah. Like, don't act weird. I do think that they should open up for, like, at least maybe for the grand finals, or maybe for this, like, this May Madness thing, being able to get some of the, like, the skins that people might have missed, like the London Spitfire and then the Jonak skin, because like, for a person who was kind of watching it through Twitch, getting the tokens and then not having enough just to not be able to get the Jonak skin, which is a very good skin, which gives me high confidence for the Zarya skin that is going to be Sinatra's MVP thing. It's just one of those things where it's like, it was a one-time chance and then you don't get it. And I'm like, I feel kind of type of way about that. Because it's like, I want the skin. I can get the tokens now, please. And especially since the YouTube gaming kind of thing, it doesn't work with the tokens, and now you have to actually kind of purchase the tokens.
Yeah.
If I bought enough tokens to get the Shock skin and then the Zarya skin that's going to be Sinatra's, I want that skin because I bought the tokens.
So I guess before we go this emergency thing, I don't know. I guess my first thought was like the Shock are still fine because they have Striker and Rascal and Architect, and like it's so stupid. You lose the MVP and you're fine because Striker is basically an MVP player himself.
Yeah, they have so much, and like Ainz is I don't remember how you Ainz, yeah. Ainz, he's just as good of a player, and like when they show like promotional stuff where they did like the Verizon thing with Sinatraa, basically his last video, and then everybody before they got haircuts, just playing around, and they kind of led it up to him being like the last person on, like the last new kid on the team. And I'm like, Shock is so good at what they do, presenting these people, all of them, as like individuals or like just the friendships that they have, because it's like you can really tell that Choi and Architect are close, and you can really tell who's like they do really well, not only getting their players to be good in the game, but also to be good personalities.
Yeah,
which
and honestly,
I don't think a lot of the teams do.
And you know, if you think about it, I feel like losing Super would be like an even bigger impact on the league, just because I feel like Super is more of a face than like Sinatra's a face, but like Super is like the loud one. You know, Sinatra's more laid back. Sinatra's more like
Super could go on to be a Jake.
Yeah, Sinatra's more like Hiei, and you know, Super's more like Kuwabara. If you watch like Yu Yu Hakusho, like it's totally different vibes, but like they both like work together. You know. But like losing a Kuwabara in Super, like you lose a lot of like interesting aspects. But like losing Sinatraa is bad. But in terms of a gameplay standpoint, like I feel like they're gonna be fine because you still have Moth as the leader of the team, and you still have Super
as the leader.
Yeah, as like the emotional leader, and you have this DPS line that's like makes no sense. Like who gave them Striker? Why?
Boston. Boston gave them Striker.
Anyway, but yeah, shout out to Sinatraa. He's gone. And I felt like this was big enough as us being Shock fans to do an emergency whatever. So yeah, if you want to leave something in the comments, be like, oh, your favorite Sinatraa memory, or you want to like trash him for some reason, do it in the comments. Yeah, like the video. And thank you.
You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere you listen to podcasts is where our podcasts normally come out, and our saying since this whole kerfuffle has gone down has been the world can always use more heroes. Thank you.